Welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. And we have a bit of change in the program. We're going to have on Mr. Cloyd Williams, the president of the Tobago Maxi Taxi Association, and he'll be speaking about the cruise ship season 2024-2025. But before we get into that conversation, we go to our photo of the day. Yes, our photo of the day was sent in to us by Mr. Stephen Matthews. Our photo of the day sent in by Mr. Stephen Matthews. So you can send us your answers via our Facebook or YouTube live chats and tell us, where do you think this photo was taken? What do you think this is a photo of? Which area of Tobago? Yes, our photo of the day sent in by Mr. Stephen Matthews. And now we speak with Mr. Cloyd Williams. Mr. Williams, we have him in studio here. Good morning, Mr. Williams, and welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show.
Good morning, son. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So we're talking about cruise season 2024-2025. From the Maxi Taxi Association's perspective, was it a success?
Well, actually, yes. Even though there was a shortfall in terms of the numbers of the ship coming to Tobago, we had just about 41 ships. Compared to last season, we have, I think it was about 75. So there was a significant drop, but still, actually, I can say, yes, it was a success.
And just tell us something about, in terms of the numbers from the Maxi Taxi Association's perspective, whether the number of cruises, tours that you may have taken persons on, and that kind of thing.
All right, so we have compact tours, all right? We take the folks throughout Tobago, all the Maxis were involved, the conventional taxis were involved. Some of the tours involved like Boca Reef, the Scarborough tour. We have the Rainforest tours, Speyside, the Cocoa. Also we have like the Rainforest, and we were very much involved and busy for the season. And most important, I think we have something to showcase in Tobago, the destination. We have a beautiful destination, and people always yearn to come to Tobago. And it's always a joy and a pride to interact with folks from around the world and to show them exactly what we have to offer. So tourism is actually one of the fastest growing industry in the world, and we, the Maxi Taxi Association, all the drivers, the taxi drivers, are very much happy to be involved in this dynamic industry, and we did our best, and I think the folks were very much satisfied with what we offer and what Tobago has to offer. All right, but one of the things that that plague us over the years is the shortage of Maxi taxis. All right, and
I wanted to discuss that here. So no, you go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
I would have discussed this issue on this frequency already, and I'm going to mention it. Whereas Tobago has just about 80 Maxi taxis in here, and when you have a ship that is coming with over 2,800 passengers, it poses a challenge to us, all right, to provide the quality transport. And you have to recognize so that most of the Maxis are involved in the Tobago House of Assembly school contract service. And this poses a challenge to us because when you have to do schools and to get back to the ship for about 8 or even before 8, you know what I mean? It's very, very difficult. But actually, we made it, and I'm very happy about that. And may I mention to you, Mr. Holder, that I've been complaining to the Ministry of Transport about having more Maxis for Tobago. Right, ground transport is the most indispensable transportation system. You have air and sea, and you have ground. But for every movement, you need ground transport. And we have a terrible shortage of Maxis in Tobago, okay? I have sent letters to the Ministry of Transport. I said, listen, we have a problem. Why not address the problem? But it seems as though that there's a problem on their side in addressing the problem of Tobago. You know what I mean? At one time, you didn't ask me the question, but I'm going to mention it to you. It takes me to give them a pre-action protocol letter so that they can address the shortage in Tobago. This caused some problems.
So let me just ask you, how much of a shortage do we have? By how many Maxis? And just explain to us, what is the process of somebody getting a Maxi taxi, a ban, getting permission to utilize the blue band Maxi taxis?
Yeah, and I think that's a very nice question, right? The process and how much we are short of. All right, I would have sent a letter to the Ministry of Works and Transport, that's Trinidad, and the Transport Commissioner, if they can only give us at least maybe about 25 more Maxis. All right? The processes that you must apply. To licensing, you go down to the ministry, they will process it and so on. I did that. I also sent what we call a priority list. In other words, those who are desperately in need of a Maxi taxi, okay?
And we have persons from Tobago applying.
Apply, right?
Okay.
They would have an open box where you apply. After the legal letter was given to them, they kind of sort of bramble around it. They put a box in licensing where you can apply. I think they had over close to 100 applications, which was sent down to Trinidad, and just a few were honored, you know what I mean? Which I think that was total disrespect. Because if I'm the one advocating and send letters and asking for Maxi taxi, I thought that they should have actually consult with me and to know exactly where the needs are and to fulfill that need. But that was not done. The ministry would have done what pleases them, and I took homage with that kind of scant courtesy treatment that they would have given to me or to Tobago. All right? Back to the question directly, you have to apply to the ministry. They will look into it, see the needs, call for an interview. You go down to Trinidad, they will send a letter stating that your application has been approved, and that kind of process. It's a little tedious, but it can happen.
And how long does that process take from beginning to like approval?
But it has to do with the ministry and their judgment, right? It can take a week, 2 weeks, you know what I mean? But they are very tardy in looking into the matter. Because you would remember, I think year before the last, that was a Saturday, that November 11th, when we have a cruise ship came and there was not enough Maxis, and several tours were cancelled.
Yes, I remember.
And that's an embarrassment to Tobago and the destination. You going on a cruise and then you cannot get ground transport. And even with that scenario, that was mentioned to the ministry, and still they will not address the issue of transportation in Tobago.
And so how many years now has this shortage been a problem for the Tobago space?
It's quite a number of years, maybe 6, 7 years, you know, and it's going on for a while, quite a while. I would address send letters to all the transport commissioner and the ministry quite a while, and it's not yet been addressed. And I think just probably after the election, I'm trying to get an appointment with the ministry, all right, so they can further look into it. I have about 6 or 7 guys who are ready for Maxis. They bought white buses, and then you have to. It's actually illegal, all right? But due to the shortage, we couldn't do better. We use some of the conventional taxis, some of the buses from the THA. That has its restrictions also. You know what I mean? Which I can't say here. You know what I mean? But in order to fulfill the shortage, we didn't have much of a choice.
So the real solution to this problem is the approval of licenses to operate the Maxis.
That's right, the approval. And why does it take so long? Or why it is not being addressed? The ministry must look into it. The Transport Commissioner, the PS, they must look into the matter and to see our cries, you know what I mean? Because tourism, look, for example, when you travel, you go abroad, Barbados, Antigua, Jamaica, you see thousands and hundreds of Maxi just waiting there. People are lined up to go on tour, but you cannot see this in Tobago. You know what I mean? Dominica recently, they were, for the season, they were planning and opening the season and expecting over 300 cruise ships. And Jamaica, Antigua, Barbuda, and these places, much more. Whereas Tobago, you will have maybe 75 or 40, and still it poses a problem. And this is something that must be addressed. The tourism division in Tobago, the THA, will have to look into it very seriously. And then you've got to understand that the crews that are coming are privately handled by the main cruise operator, Mr. Charles Cavallo. I mean, he's doing his best. The Tobago House Assembly only facilitates. They are facilitators. They are not really responsible.
Right.
But whenever there's a problem, it's not really Mr. Cavallo. It's going to fall under the THA, the tourism division, and they will have to look into it. And I'm going to be working closely with the tourism division, the THA, so that this problem can be addressed.
So, in the meantime, while we are trying to address that problem, what has the organization done? Is there any sort of mitigating measures that you can take to alleviate the problem as best as possible?
Well, as I mentioned before, what I would have done is to give them a pre-action protocol letter. That's the Ministry of Transport Commissioner. This did not go down too well. All right. They actually open it a little. They give out maybe just a few rights as to cover themselves. Say, well, okay, we are doing something. But that is not adequate. We didn't ask for 5 or 6. We are asking or requesting 20 to 25 so the problem can be looked into. This can happen in Trinidad. You have a ship coming to Trinidad and no ground transport. The Prime Minister, Minister of Transport, everybody going to meet, say, hey, there's a ship in Port of Spain. Let's address the problem. But in Tobago, we are treated here, and this is not politics, we are treated here with scant courtesy. You know what I mean? So we're going to look into it. I'm going to continue to fight. It's really sometimes you want to give up, you know, but when you think about the destination, what can benefit Tobago, what can be done, and that kind of thing, you know, you keep on fighting and you get the encouragement from the association. Even members of the Tobago Officers Assembly give you the encouragement and so on. But actually, their hands are tied in respect to issuing Maxi rights. They don't have the powers to issue Maxi rights, all right? It comes directly from the Ministry of Works and Transport and the Transport Commission, not the THE. The Chief Secretary probably can just write a letter or make requests, but you still have to go down to the relevant authority.
I was now going to raise the question about whether, if you've made any appeals to the officials within the THE to make any overtures to the central government to try and speed the process up, you know?
Yes, we did. We would have sent letters to the Tobago Officers Assembly Chief Secretary. The Secretary of Works and Transport, Trevor James, I remember they were trying to address one particular issue with the ministry and still they were blockage and so on. So we did that more than once and we are going to continue to do it because we love our trade. We want to improve the quality of transport in Tobago. The destination should be proud. The folks who are coming here should be proud. The tour operators should be proud of the kind of service that we offer. And quickly, let me tell you, when you go abroad, what happened? When you come up the cruise line, you see all the Maxis line for the different tours. They just line up waiting, okay? Who's going to the waterfall? Who's doing a city tour? You see them with their flags and banners and so on. But you don't have that in Tobago. We use the Maxis as they come. You want that one coming from school from Charlottesville, you go waterfall. You know what I mean? So we are very much disorganized in respect to the transport, but at least we are proud, we are still doing our best with our restrictions and limited transport.
In terms of that organization, that's something that has to be done between Carvalho and the Maxi Taxi Association.
Mr. Carvalho is the agent.
Right. In terms of designating drivers for specific tours and having it well organized and well designated, that's something for the Maxi Taxi Association.
That's right, and you are so correct. It's within Mr. Carvalho will give us his numbers. Okay, I need 24 waterfall. I need 44 Bucko Reef, and that kind of thing. He give us numbers. So now the association will have to meet now and decide, okay, Williams, you go waterfall, you divide the spoil accordingly. So that's our responsibility to fulfill that. And here comes the challenge, as I mentioned to you.
Oh, so you're saying that it becomes disorganized because there's a great shortage of Maxi taxis?
You are so correct. You are so correct. Okay. And that put pressure on the organizers like myself and the other providers.
Okay, right? Well, despite the disorganization, what has the feedback been like from tourists, Mr. Carvalho, the cruise lines, in terms of the quality of service of the Maxi Taxi Association in carrying out these tours?
And that's a beautiful question. Mr. Carvalho being the agent will always have a problem in terms of the organization. That's no, I mean, you are agent, you will go to Miami, you will promote the destination, okay? You have beautiful Tobago, you have 10 ships and that kind of thing. So he's proud to, but then when you come in, there's a problem. So as the agent, Mr. Carvalho can't really vex with him, you know. I mean, he has a responsibility to fulfill his appointed, you know, whatever has been given to him. All right, so the problem really comes back to us as providers in terms of providing the quality service.
Okay, okay. And you all haven't had any sort of feedback from the ministry explain to you what the issue is, what the delay is about, even from the response to your pre-action protocol letter?
No response. But I know that they would have called maybe just a few guys around and give them a few rights, maybe 5 or 6 or so on. But in terms of a formal response, they never did that, and that's why I said I think the ministry is very disrespectful to the organization and to Tobago, and they need to step up their game. We have been making formal requests and a new approach, and I think they need to respond properly and to say XYZ, let us meet, negotiate, talk, and see what can be done. This has not been done.
Okay, so Mr. Williams, let's say that the ministry does give the extra 25 licenses that the association is seeking. Outside of the cruise season, would it be then lucrative for those extra 25? Would there now be a gluttony market in terms of maxi taxis, or is there still a market outside of the cruise ship season for that additional amount of maxi taxis?
Outside of the cruise ship season operation, there's not much. You have the route transport, the commercial transport. The only problem, and I like you asked a good question. If you flood the market for just the cruise ship, it's not sustainable. All right? Because here you have a short cruise ship season with just about 40 max crews or 75. You will buy a Maxi maybe for 600,000-700,000. What happened outside of that? You have to find ways and means of sustaining your bus, making a living, paying your installment. It means that you have to approach the bank. Either you try to get into the school contract, which is already oversubscribed, So you have to find ways and means of handling that. And normally, outside of the cruise ship, we will do like local tours, groups from Trinidad, groups from abroad, sightseeing tours, which sometimes is very slow, So it means that you now as a person have to market your stuff. Right. Market what you are doing.
Right.
Bring more value to the destination. Improve your service. Go on the website and get jobs and so on. And I think, of course, you can make it, but you cannot be just an individual, just sit down waiting on cruise ship.
So do you think that something like that is a consideration that the Ministry of Works takes into their decision making?
Not that they take it into this. They should take it into decision making. They should. But I'm not sure that they are looking at that aspect of it, because Tobago is tourism. Trinidad is more like industrial, business, and so on. And if you have Tobago in heart, in terms of, because we are promoting tourism in Tobago,
right,
and this should be priority. The ministry should look into it, and that's why I always chart the cost for Tobago having its own autonomy and that kind of thing, where we can decide what we want. Had this happened to Tobago, we had when we chart our own costs, I think the issue would have been different. It will be addressed different, and probably everybody will smile and be satisfied.
Okay, Mr. Williams, final question. Cruise ship season 2025-2026. Has the Maxi Taxi Association already begun planning for it and preparing for it?
All right. We just ended the 2025 season just about 2 weeks ago. I just talked to Mr. Cavallo in terms of the upcoming season. He said they're still working on it, like he doesn't have the figures as yet. We're going to still experience a shortfall because of a fuel problem. All right. It's going to happen for the next few years. How long, I don't know. He just explained that to me, a fuel emotion problem. Trinidad and Tobago is the furthest destination of South, and they rather stay places like Dominica, Guadeloupe, and these places, So we'll be affected for the next few years until they solve that fuel problem abroad.
Okay. So nothing yet for 2025-2026?
Nothing yet for 2025-26, but we are hoping for the best. We are hoping for a very successful season. I wish that we can have maybe 100, 200, 300, 400 ships, but it's not. That's only a wish, but it's not possible. But I'm
It could
hoping
be possible in the future. It could be possible
in the future, but at present it doesn't seem so. There's that problem with that fuel and the cost and that kind of thing. Even if the cruise ships agents are asking for discount in terms of fuel and so on. I don't know how that will work, but we are hoping for the best. I'm very optimistic, and I think something will happen. And at the end of the day, Tobago will be proud, you will be proud, everybody will be proud, and we'll have a beautiful season.
Yes, man. One drop those full basket. We'll get there soon enough.
That's right.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Williams, for coming in and speaking with us about the 2024-2025 cruise ship season from the perspective of the Maxi Taxi Association.
And thank you very much. And I'll be back. You can call on me anytime, so I'll be back to explain whatever the situation is.
All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Holder.
All right. Okay, viewers, so we've come to the end of our programming, but before we close off, we go back to our photo of the day. Our photo of the day will be coming up right about now. And yes, this photo of the day was sent in by Mr. Stephen Matthews, and this is a photo of Scarborough. Yes, indeed, it is a photo of Scarborough, the photo of the day sent in by Mr. Stephen Matthews. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for the Tobago Updates morning show, but our programming does not end there. We go on next to GMT. GMT is coming up next, so do us a favor. Share the live, share the live, share the live. I'll see you tomorrow.